Do you want to ask your favorite player a question after their match? Or get their in-game settings? The Fan Zone encompasses fan banners, a player settings channel, and a lot more. Here's how you can join to gain access to interact with fellow fans, cheer on your favorite team. Firstly, join the Discord at pks.gg/discord. Select NA Challengers Fan Zone. Pick your favorite team from the drop-down menu. And don't forget to show off that banner in Discord and on your socials. And that's it. You're in. You can now interact with fellow fans, ask player questions, and rep your team properly.
Yo, check it out. Want to know if the price of those Wave Runners is too good to be true? Or if I Wear My Kicks 49 is truly selling dead stocks? Or if that Jordan 1 Royal Box is original? eBay checks. See that little blue check mark? Behind it is a team of independent authenticators who check. And we mean everything. Every tongue, check. Every toe box, check. Every corner of every box, check, 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 check. Every logo, every label, every lace loop. Yeah, it's checked. The luster of the leather, the topography on the tags, to the straightness of the stitching on the sole. Everything you can see, and even some things you can't.
Really?
Then they tag them, log them in the system, box them up, and ship them out, with no cost for the buyer or seller. eBay checks, so the moment you open that box is as real gets.
Week 3 of the Knights Arena Valorant Challengers League here in North America, and things are heating up. A lot of upsets and teams vying for their spot to make it to the mid-season face-off, and anything can happen. We have some exciting matches for you today, and if you want to join in on the conversation, you can do so at the Knights Arena Fan Zone at pks.gg/discord. And joining me on the discussion today, well, I have the legendary caster duo of Sully and Upmind. Super excited for you two to be joining me on today's show. In week 3, things have been really spicy so far at mine.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've gotten a couple roster moves here and there, and we also have a team changing up their name. Yesterday, we got 2 of those examples facing off against each other, and it didn't go well for the team led up by 2 of the best content farmers in the world. But anyways, things still keep going, like, competitive at least. I really like this group right now and how close all of these teams are.
Yeah, that's the thing that's the coolest part, close, because sure, there is a couple of teams that have really started to pave the way in terms of the standings. I mean, both group has that one standout team there, Sully, but at the same time, looking at the rest of the group and how it's shaking up, it's one of those things that seems very volatile.
Yeah, there's a really big opportunity here, especially because we're sitting here in Group A, and we'll look at the standings here in a second. Moist Moguls and Turtle Troop both facing off. Turtle Troop recently made 2 major changes. They brought on Mummy, and they brought on Tig in replacement of, I believe, Governor and Harmful. I could be wrong on Harmful there, but yeah, Turtle Troop picking up that win. That shakes up this group a lot, because you look at 2, 3, and 4, they're all sitting at 1-1 records, and all 4 of these teams at the very top are playing today, so there's a chance that after today we could have a 4-way tie between FaZe, Oxygen, and Shopify in a standing where they're all 1 and 2, and then it comes down to round differential. So a lot to play here, just here in Group A. Things have shaken up a lot just off of yesterday's match results.
And I think that's a really key thing that you said too, the round differential, because I feel like too, with the standing that's getting to be this close up mine, that is really going to be coming down to the wire for a couple of these teams.
Well, absolutely. I think by the end of this week, we have the combination of 2 chances or 2 outcomes. Either we have 4 teams that are 1 and 2, or 3 teams that are 2 and 1, and 3 teams that are 1 and 2. And at this point, again, only 2 weeks left after these results formulate, and every single round is going to count the absolute most for every team. I mean, before we were talking about how the magic number for these groups is 3, right? Make it past 3 wins and you could absolutely qualify. And it's seeming more like that's more the possibility, where again, G2, they're not mathematically going to qualify, but with how close this group is, any difference that they can give themselves, or any team can give themselves in this group, is massively important.
And nothing is locked or secured. There's no team that has secured their spot for the mid-season face-off at this point. And I feel like, too, considering how things have shaken up, both games yesterday were upsets. That was not the way that people were expecting.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's a big thing to note, because we were talking like, yo, this team, the Guard, they're the #1 team in all of Challengers. Like, there's no way they don't qualify for America's next year, right? We're looking at this Guard team. They end up losing to TSM after making one subtle change. And so, I mean, it's kind of anyone's game. M80 currently 2-0, G2 Esports 2-0. A lot of expectations, I think, between G2 and M80 to kind of continue to perform and continue that momentum. We had a 2-week break where Lock-In was playing, so these teams have had time to develop and kind of look back at their VOD and say, hey, these are mistakes we made. What do we need to fix? Let's get our stuff arranged so we go into week 3 and we're looking a lot stronger than we did in 1 and 2.
We'll have to see going in this week if G2 can continue playing how they have been, because this team definitely has been a standout, and it will be the team that will be able to keep eyes on first thing today. I love the fact today too, for today's schedule, that we'll be looking just at Group A. So a lot of the questions that we have regarding the standings, a lot of the things that really could shake up, we could start to really see that difference come alive at this point. G2 facing off against Oxygen Esports. Later on, FaZe and Shopify Rebellion. I feel like that's going to be an insane match.
Yeah, again, today is 2 very distinct storylines. 2 teams, or 2 groups of teams, who really want to either keep their momentum going or upstart their season once again. FaZe and Shopify coming off of 2 pretty shaky starts, to say the least. Shopify with their first big upset really in a while of their own team. But of course, here in VCL alone, it was one of the first big upsets. Oxygen taking down Shopify last week. And FaZe didn't look incredibly confident against Turtle Troop, and they faced a G2 team that was playing their first official. But FaZe, going into that first official, they only had 1 week of experience with each other. Sully just mentioned a 2-week break between the last game, and now FaZe, they've had a lot of time to solidify themselves together. It's a lot of what could the rest of the season look like just with today's results. And again, FaZe, Shopify looking to upstart things, G2 Oxygen looking to capitalize.
Yeah, and tomorrow's day will be full of that Group of B for anyone who's a little bit more interested in those standings. But I want to start talking about our first matchup for today, this G2 versus Oxygen Esports, because this one should be so interesting. I mean, G2, they've been doing so fantastic at this point. They've been doing such a good job as a team and solidified, but then going up against Oxygen Esports, I feel like is a really big question mark and a really interesting team to watch develop.
You know, Sierra, I think there are a lot of question marks just between these 2 teams in general, because G2, I personally think that, wow, yeah, this team was like going into it, we're underdogs, essentially. Yeah, they have the name value. Yeah, they've got this old Sentinels core of Shazam and Dapper. They had the old V1 core of Whippy and Penny and this new kid in Oxy. But still, I think that just there's like a stigma around that old Sentinels duo between Shazam and Dapper. Not a lot of people expected this team to play the way they have, right? They beat FaZe 2-1 after losing map 1 in that best of 3. That was the first matchup that a lot of those players had seen. 4 of the players on FaZe hadn't played an official in months. 4 of the players on G2 hadn't played really a VCT circuit in months outside of, I think it was the Tarek and Lugwood Invitational. But still, I think G2 have kind of destroyed this narrative about them that this is a team that is capable of actually pulling off wins and can be deadly at times, which is something that is not only really exciting to see for the team individually, but also just shakes up this entire group. Because going into this, I remember everyone was saying, why even bother? It's TS, or apologies, M80 and the guard that are just going to take it all the way. And now we have a team like G2 sitting at 2-0 in their group right now.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said for players that are on that redemption arc to really prove to us what they have here in Challengers to be moving on. And then looking over at the teams as well, we're talking about players with stuff to prove. I mean, let's talk about this fresh talent up mine.
Yeah, Pony and Oxy, they're going to be your two big duelist mains going into this game, and these are two players who desperately need a big swing in momentum for them going into the rest of the season. Oxy, he's the new player coming into this roster. He's the new player into the VCL scene in general. He hadn't played a single game of VCT in the years before, and the four players that he's playing with all have international experience. I mean, Whippy qualified for an international, but he didn't play on it. But the other three players, they've played on that stage. They've made it to the upper echelon of Valorant. And now Oxy, the big question is, what value is he going to add here to G2? We haven't been able to see it really formulate in the first 2 weeks. You do see a high ACS and thankfully a high FKFD, but we're really trying to see more out of out of Oxy in the moments where he just needs to act up in those first contacts. Pony, it's the same story where, again, he's an incredibly talented opper, but his stats just doesn't show it.
I mean, you were saying, oh, we're looking for Oxy. I mean, I feel like, too, a lot of us are looking at Oxygen to what we can expect from this team, because they're a really interesting team at the core. Because taking down a team like Shopify Rebellion, I feel like that's obviously something that takes that skill. There's a lot of good things coming out solely at points, but you just need a bit more from some people.
Yeah, because we look at that week 2 game, we're like, yeah, okay, congrats. You beat Shopify, a team that I think is, 75% of the time going to beat the teams that are always worse than them and lose to the teams that are better than them. But then I think last week was a really big shake-up for both Shopify and a really big showing for Oxygen. Granted, I kind of put like a slight emphasis on the fact that we need a little bit more from them, in the sense that the week before they had been leading 9-3 in both of the maps that they played, and they ended up losing both of them in double OT. So I feel like for Oxygen, it's like, congratulations, you beat Shopify, but there's just an asterisk on that saying, hey, it was at a fluke. You had literally thrown 2 9-3 leads. How have things shaped up for this team? Have nerves gone away? Have players like Mitch, someone that hasn't really relatively been performing lately, how is he going to step up? And we're looking at this guy Scuba here, who I think is one of the players that has always been there for Oxygen, has always been a key player.
Yeah, you're talking about people who need to step up. Scuba is someone who has already been taking that lead, taking that charge in their wins or losses, has really been a mainstay of the team. I mean, even in games that Oxygen Esports have lost, Scuba has just looked impressive through and through mine.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to the fact that Oxygen, almost every Oxygen game so far has come down to the wire. But again, the big difference that Scuba just ends up bringing to the table anyways, he's playing controller. It's a pretty hands-off agent more than anything. And Scuba, all you have to do is rely on this guy to get the frags that he needs. He doesn't need to be on the forefront of assists. He doesn't need to be on the forefront of a lot of takes. He's always going to be that type of person to clean up. And, I mean, the better he cleans up, the better, I guess.
I disagree a little bit, purely because Scuba, you say he shouldn't be on the... I mean, yeah, he shouldn't be on the forefront.
With his roles, he shouldn't be.
You're talking about his impact not necessarily needing to be had, but he's the, in my opinion, one of the only reasons why Oxygen have been a strong competitor when it comes to the open qualifiers, and now in week 1 and week 2. Scuba is, without a doubt, and, I'm not going to say it lightly, one of the hard carries of this team. And when players like Pony and Verna aren't stepping up, and Mitch is kind of slacking, and Randy Savage isn't performing the best, this guy Scuba has always been #1. I think one of the only showings where I was like not impressed with his performance was against Disguise in the open qualifiers on Pearl. It didn't look good there, but as of late, I mean, Scuba, you look back to when he was on Knights, dude was a dog, and I mean literally was putting up numbers, like ungodly numbers that I've never seen on a controller.
I mean, the teams did have a 2-week break, and there was changes in that, as well as looking at our map picks and bans. We are headed into a little bit of a different look, as of course, Breeze and Bind are gone, and we're bringing in Lotus and Split back. So hopefully that's time that Oxygen were able to mend together, but it looks like at this point that G2 has something up their sleeve, because they're going to go right ahead, Sully, and pick up Split as the first map.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting pick, and one thing that we were looking at, Gus and I, was the fact that this team of G2 had been perma-banning Bind and Breeze almost like between week 1 and week 2, almost in like preparation for this new map pool. So to have them pick up Split right off the rip, I think this is the first Split we're seeing in North America, which is going to be really fun to watch. And, you know, I reminisce back to the old days of that Sentinels core when that team was like #1 on Split, when version 1 had played in Iceland with Jammies as their stand-in, and they had lost to New Turn and Liquid like 14-12 both times on Split. You've got two really strong cores that have always been really good on Split, so I mean, I want to see what G2 bring to the table. What have they been prepping? The fact that they've been banning Bind and Breeze, is that a key signal that they've been preparing for Split this entire time? It's kind of a pick out of left field. I think Split hasn't changed drastically enough to say that if what you knew before doesn't apply now, so I still think that we're going to see a lot of strong performances from Oxygen. Granted, I don't know the last time Oxygen have played Split.
At that point, too, though, you're going to have to hope that Oxygen can go ahead and bring something home on Haven at their map pit, because that's one of the ones that's looked really strong for them. I mean, they did such a good job against Shopify Rebellion on that, and G2, I mean, the last couple of games in Challengers, I mean, they looked a little shaky, but at the same time, it is G2. They had that 2-week break. Yeah. I mean, I don't really think we might see that shakiness going forward.
No, we shouldn't. And I think, again, just the maps alone, going into this game, it's probably the most confident team going into this week in general. Again, just the results that we've had on these maps, very, very confident stuff. Even the one last week that was kind of shaky for them, Fractured, they ended up winning that week 1 result. Again, they played 6 maps so far of Valorant, and they've played 5 different maps. Yeah. So again, G2 should be looking good into this game. I'm more just looking forward to seeing how the compositions are going to go down, and also the effect of the guns. We've had a big gun change.
Yeah, the Stinger, and I feel like this is such a deserved nerf, by the way, because the Stinger went absolutely crazy at some points, but a little bit of damage change with the fall off. It cost a couple of more creds. I mean, so how do you think that's going to shake things up?
I think one thing that you're going to see in some of the stats, unfortunately we don't have a stat graphic for it, but like almost a quarter of every single G2 player's kills had come from a Stinger. I think it was like 20 for Oxy, like out of like 86, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's like a huge margin, but it's still something to note, is that Stinger, there was a very hefty meta. They were winning like 33% of the rounds had come from eco rounds, so there was a lot to say, hey, let's look at this Stinger meta, and G2 were abusing it. Now, I don't know if the changes are really going to say they're never going to buy this, and I think the damage drop-off isn't like crazy significant, but I think that price change will definitely affect them a little bit, where you can't force buy Stingers in that second round, and then even if you lose that second round, you can still force buy Stingers in the third. So I'm going to be interested to see how maybe, or if G2 have maybe done any adaptations. I would be interested to see if there's going to be anything major coming through their buy. It's just something that we can acknowledge, not something to really like, I feel like, peer into too deeply.
Maybe something that after we see how the first game shakes up, we could then be like, hey, wait a second, this kind of really was impactful, or yeah. Nah, they just left the Stinger behind. It's not so good. But I'm curious with Oxygen Esports now going up against G2. We talked about Scuba being that carry, and that there's times when the rest of the team can really start to step up. That's where we see that difference making. With that 2-week break, if they've figured stuff out, do we think that there's a world that we're going to see this upset if everyone can start matching Scuba on his level?
I mean, matching Scuba, first of all, I think Scuba's a GOAT already. This guy's probably going to be top 3 by the end of the season, so don't realistically think really anyone in the group should be able to catch up with the guy. But anyone for the team individually who, I mean, so far has shown hints of that success, I would at least like to say that Pony has been climbing up there, but has been failing in just like individual moments. And I would also like to say Randy Savage. Randy Savage, he has always been an incredibly consistent defensive player, but for this team, he's just been popping up in that fill role as the KJ, more or less, on the attack side, and he's been stat padding a lot just through that one side. When I really want to see him step up and shut down an attacking play on his own on defense with KJ, haven't really been seeing too much proactivity from there, or at least him being able to take advantage of what is right now a pretty strong KJ meta. Again, it's just some smaller things with this team that I think a lot of these players, they could step up to, again, that quote-unquote Scuba level, but I think actually truly Scuba's on a different level right now.
Scuba's kind of cracked. What about I kind of wanted to talk about him, but kind of forgot a little bit more about Verno, because Verno Sully actually also seems really good and performing at a really high level. Maybe not quite as consistently, but there's definitely games, definitely moments that's like, damn, like, it's fire.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for a lot of these players is like they can perform really well. Pony does it at times, Werner does it at times. God, Mitch, who was -19 last game, does it at times as well. But it's a matter of, hey, can you do it consistently? And that's something that Scuba has always done. I think something that this entire team is going to have to look to do as well.
All right, well, I'm excited to head over to Split since this is the first time we're going to get to see it and see these teams look on it. So I'm going to send you two off to Agent Select. I'll catch up later.
Sounds good. Let's head into it. Again, Oxygen, G2. Both of these teams feeling good, looking good out of the first 2 weeks of VCL. But G2, they're the ones with a clear path already to the playoffs with a win today.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks, not only around this new map Split and how teams have made adjustments, but also what are the compositions going to look like? And we're seeing already the Raze get pulled out. We are playing on the new patch where the Raze nerf does come into play. So that 10-second Raze boombot now goes down to 5 seconds. And that, I don't know how much emphasis we put on, hey, that hurts a lot when it comes to clearing these angles. But, I mean, the boombot, I feel, is most infamous on this map in particular. You look down towards mid where that boombot gets a lot of info, and I'm wondering, hey, is that really going to change this meta up? Now, looking at the other composition, for Oxygen, they elected to go for a Breach double initiator to set up here, which is, you know, let me remind everyone, if you haven't played Split in a while, Breach was always incredibly strong in this map, and I think towards the latter part of Split, we always saw Asher come through as well. So I'm loving the comps from both these sides. We've got one major difference. I think double Sentinel for G2 is going to be a big look, and double Initiator for Oxygen will as well be a big comparison.
Yeah, it's the double Sentinel that's cooped up with a Cypher rather than the KJ2. So really looking forward to just less retake potential off of the Cypher and the Sage rather than the KJ. But that's what they're there for. You have the two Sentinels just so they hold down as much space as possible, just so they hold on for as much time as possible. Let's head into the game though, because it looks like G2, they have A already in their targets.
Yeah, 5-man look already out towards the A site. You're only going to have Scooby here holding alone. And yeah, we kind of hero built this guy, said, hey, he's one of the key players, going to be a key fragger in this round. He is soloed towards his A site with only a singular star. Oxygen will fully clear this mid side, and you can already see Pony's head has begun to pivot. The nade is going to go deep, but that will be full control of A Heaven into the split of A.
Yeah, it's literally just an attempt at a delay here in the A site for Oxygen, but now G2, they have to dance a little bit. All 5 of these players for Oxygen aiming to retake back over towards Heaven. There's a wall in front of screens. Pony is coming up, but Oxy takes him down. 3 other players trying to come into Heaven, and it's Randy Savage with a double somehow. G2, the Heaven defense breaks down a little bit, but they still have sight.
Massive shots coming out from G2 and Oxygen as well, trading in that blow. I think that stun from Mitch really sets them up. He still has a double flash here, and that's what they're going to use to try and get back in towards elbow.
Mitch does throw out a little bit of util, but Penny with a 3-piece combo takes down the entirety of Oxygen. G2 already strong.
You know, some classics, it feels like it's RNG when it comes down to that right click, but right there for Penny makes it look like clockwork from this guy. 3 right clicks, 3 headshots, 3 kills, and that's a dangerous angle to go around. They thought the Aftershock had cleared that angle, but Penny moves forward a little bit to give him the fight there, and G2 starting off nice and early at 1-0. We're still looking at a lot of question marks between both of these teams. Again, we talked about Oxy and his performance. Is he going to step up here after that kind of month high or that 2-week break and acclimating to this tier 2 level alongside Oxygen as well? Someone like Scuba, does he continue to perform?
It's a pretty creative map for Razes. Getting some pretty shifty spots early on. But they're not going to opt to do that as of now. They have scaled all the way up into B main. Only 1 satchel here for Oxy.
Solo running into Randy Savage, who you highlighted and you spoke about. You're like, I want this guy to step up massively on the defense. I don't think he's going to go into this round in particular, but I think on a map like Split as well, to the KJ, and something the difference is between KJ and Cypher, and something that people might remember when Dapper was kind of, I feel like, pioneering the way you play Cypher on this map, was Cypher's a lot more aggressive, and we'll probably see Dapper play a lot towards A where he's tossing a cage to get control. He's always been kind of a player to do that. I feel personally, like I said, he pioneered that kind of style of Cypher of getting control aggressive towards A ramp with his cages, and then Randy Savage on the defense with his KJ. We're going to look at him a lot to say, hey, can you solo anchor these sites? what setups do you have on a map that hasn't been in the pool for months at this point in time?
Just sweep up some frags in the back line. Oxygen, again. Just cooping up into the next round. Still interested to see, again, how the Astra is going to come into effect here on the defensive side. We haven't been able to see the Astra on the front line be able to react to a take. Of course, same thing with Randy Savage. See what sort of traps he has. But going into the next, again, G2. Mostly just Spectres at the moment. We could see Dapper go back to that default once again. He's just going to keep doing that default throughout this entire half, really. Just keep harassing the players over on A.
Full buy here for Oxygen. 5 Vandals. They have... Yeah, I was going to say, they might not have full util, but they're, I think, missing just a singular Sky Flash from Verno. So, G2, it's going to be Oxy that holds that Phantom alongside Whippy. And they're working kind of in tandem here towards mid. Whippy solo holding towards B, while these 3 players are going to try and get this mid control. We're going to see the usefulness of this breach when it comes to maintaining map control here towards mid. Granted, I think Mitch would be in a better spot back towards defender spawn. They're going to almost entirely give up elevator here as Oxy takes a little bit of damage on the crossover.
They've let it go, but only one person over towards top mid. Pony still actually going to recollect the crossover for a second, but they're going to back out. Gonna play Crossfire instead with a breach.
Inferno is, I think, looking to take a peek over towards A ramp. As you have Scuba as well holding from a very long angle. They're kind of guessing that this is going to lean towards an A hit, but they've broken the turret now, which is going to force someone on Oxygen to take face. And now Oxygen, I feel like, are kind of playing with little to no info. You can already see, just breaking that turret alone, Pony's begun to shift over to the A site. They think an elevator hit's going to come through here in a second, but in reality, G2 are getting ready to explode here towards B with Dapper just holding these rotates.
Yeah, Mitch's 1v1 is going to be incredibly difficult to face on, but Randy Savage has to be the one to hold on. Mitch goes down, and Oxy, he's the one that gets the 2-piece for himself instead. Swings around the corner, and both defenders are gone. Oxygen, they still have some util.
Massive entry there from Oxy. And again, Oxygen kind of in this round felt like they didn't have the info they wanted. That mid control, especially on split, is extremely important. And if we ever get a chance to look at Lotus, we can talk as well how big the mid control is as well. But on this map, it manipulates rotate so much. And you could see how Oxygen reacted in this instance.
Dapper gonna be up top. Could be a 2 free frags for him, and indeed it is. Does he want a third? Of course he wants a third. He's hungry. Scuba around the corner is gonna sink deep. Dapper looking good. 3rd round for G2. And again, that's Oxygen's buy for you. That's a reset already.
Yeah, a lot of money getting stacked up here from G2, and it's gonna set them up for the future in these next coming rounds, and Oxygen relegating back themselves to pistols. I think G2 winning that round should set them up for 2 or 3 rounds after this one, but Oxygen, I think we're going to see that issue arise a little bit more, especially without a Sage here on split. I think Sage kind of, you can play without her, but controlling mid can be really crucial. And so we're going to see how Mitch does it. He's playing on the B site this time around again. Fault line to try and get control of B main, but G2 again will send this early Trailblazer to scout for information, and that's a full clear of elevator already.
They're not antsy to commit to anything, though. It's only going to be one person lurking up that mid side. No trade potential, but it's only going to be the 1v1 with Mitch.
Shazam.
The pistol had no chance. Well done, Shazam. And the contact over towards B main is incredibly important. 2 players peeking out of B main. Scuba's going to have an off angle. Trying to take down Dapper potentially. Verno is up top, but Scuba cannot connect his shots. Verno's going to be the only one here with no chance. G2 again just farming up the frags. Farming up the ult points. Incredibly pivotal for the rounds coming up, but their economy, it might just stay clean.
Yeah. G2, I mean, shots have been looking crisp between Dapper, Oxy, and Shazam.
Not bad.
A flawless round, an investor flawless round from G2 to kick us off 4-0. A lot to write about this team for G2 going into Challengers and going into Split 1, but now that we're in week 3 and we're kind of just seeing the very small display of this map of Split and what this team is capable of. And they've had a month together now, a full month of regular matches, just practice together. Getting Oxy acclimated has always been kind of the big question off of week 1 and week 2. He was good, but he was never amazing.
Oh, whoa.
And a 5-man push is what G2 is going to aim for. On this A site, they've switched up and put Randy Savage here, Oxygen. He will be the solo anchor with the op.
Yeah, with an op, the KJ op might just go crazy here. Randy Savage, again, the only one here. It's just going to be any delay if he can pull it off. But no, the showstopper coming up towards him. There's a slow orb in his face. Oxy cannot connect. So the op is still there. Don't know how much it helps out on a retake, but it's all 5 players still alive here for Oxygen. No one's poking through heaven right now. G2 has full control.
No, they're backing away here, though, G2. They're not actually fighting. It's planned for heaven, but they're not fighting
It's only one, yeah.
Spike is out in the open, and Oxygen have got 4 players here trying to retake the heaven side.
They don't know about Dapper's position. Dapper's going to get stunned, but it might be a repeat again from the sky alongside the Sage. Oh, that actually gets him. Big piece of util, but that's only the one person over towards ramp. There's only one person on site, though. Oxy's the one man alive here, fighting for elbow, and he might just do it all. No, he can't. Scuba finally takes him down. 2 players coming out of ramp, 3 players coming out of heaven. It's going to be the defuse, but it's all the way out in the open. They can't do anything with it.
Not a chance here for Oxygen on this site. What a post plant from G2. Maintaining that heaven control and playing off of Oxy alone on site, who as well does a phenomenal job of pivoting around and finding frags. I think he only gets 1 there, but his presence alone and kind of forcing Oxygen to divert their attention between that heaven and that ramp area over towards that site, just making the retake for Oxygen so much harder. And we're at a 5-0 start, and it has been extremely clean in these post plants from G2. Oxygen have had no response to the retakes, and that's the second fast take we've seen on the A side outside of the pistol. And G2 make it look effortless.
Yeah, it was just question mark after question mark after question mark for Oxygen as they were heading in through heaven. Again, G2, they didn't show Dapper whatsoever. Dapper was always stuck up in that corner. Thankfully, they had a piece of util to actually clear him out, but a double swing coming out of ramp and then to converge that again into a triple swing, it just looked like G2 again. They have the right idea for the choke points that they're trying to fight for. Heaven is incredibly, incredibly important here on Split because there is no way you're going to do a full 5-man push out of screens. You need at least some heaven control or some ramp control, and Oxygen just couldn't win it. G2 have their priorities straight right now. It seems like a map that they've always been comfortable on. Again, 4 of these players have very extensive history on this map, but 5-0 start, it could only get worse, I think. Who knows?
A lot of ults coming online here for the side of Oxygen. Mitch, Pony, Randy Savage, Verno, all one off their ultimate. I think Scuba could get his as well here in a second. He's had a slow start. Player that has been extremely crucial in every single game that they've played. I haven't seen him play on Split in forever, so we don't actually have the biggest sample pool or sample size to say, hey, this guy Scuba, he's good on the maps we had earlier, but how good is he now on Split? They're going to keep working this mid side here, G2, to a slow and progressive play. And you can see how much this mid side means to both of these sides. G2 have been putting pressure the past 5 rounds. Here in round number 6, it's a dog and a trailblazer and a guiding light. And you've effectively kept 3 to 4 players here towards mid.
I want to remind people about the pick, by the way. Scuba hasn't played Astra so far here in VCL. This is the first map where they've been forced to play up on this agent. Maybe it's a bit of rust getting shaken off. I have to shake off now. The attackers right in the middle of the B site. It is, I think, a 3rd round now where we're seeing a 5v5 retake. And again, Oxygen, they have the right idea in terms of just aiming for retake setups instead. But G2 always chipping down this team before they even have a chance of making it into sight.
I can't even say it's like the right idea from Oxygen to play retakes because it's really, I mean, you say it's the right idea, but it's just
maybe
it's
not
the right
on
idea
eco.
if it starts to work. No, not even on ecos. It didn't work in their full buy both rounds. Scuba, yeah, he's gonna get his ultimate here at the very least. So everyone from Oxygen will have ultimates moving forward, but these hits from G2 have been uncontested. I think 4 of the last 6 rounds where they've made exits have only been greeted by 1 person, and Oxy had a huge double entry the one time that there was a 2nd player on the B site. And G2 right now, they've got the number of Oxygen at this point in time. 5 ultimates will be online here for Oxygen. How do these get used here? Lockdown available here for Heaven. I think that's the focus now from Oxygen, is to try and play, like, if you're talking about the right idea of retake, it's going to say, hey, let's have this lockdown here for A, let's use the Rolling Thunder towards B.
G2 Again, you always expect Dapper to be in this position, but this is way different. Here comes the Trailblazer alongside Dapper, making so much noise for good reason.
That is incredibly fast from Dapper to break that turret. That's going to keep an extra hand here and towards Heaven. This time there wasn't much of a manipulation out towards mid. Shaz just using the Trailblazer once. But now they're going to retake it. You can see the util that's being drawn out. Hey, G2 hear that Trailblazer. Now they refocus back towards mid. Now Oxygen are responding by trying to take space back as well.
Whoa, yeah, they are. They're taking B main.
A massive gap here towards mid from both sides, and G2's been the one to exploit it.
Oh, and Randy Savage, again, it's just a question mark where any of these players are. They've given up mid. He has to stay around screens, and there you go. Okay. The Sky ultimate. Cabbage is coming out. Chasing towards Heaven, and it looks like they know now. There's going to be 3 players here for Oxygen, cooped up towards the B side. 40 seconds, though, still an opportunity to be able to rotate. And the breach is here. The Rolling Thunder, all 5 players. No, at least 3 of them are going to get hit. The nade combo is really, really good. Showstoppers here, too. 30 seconds left. Where can G2 even go? Whippy's trying to make space, and it's actually working a little bit. It's only a 1v1 here on site.
They're going to re-exit here now into the site, and they're 3 players from Heaven, 1 player towards spawn, but 20 seconds left in Scuba.
Mitch.
What a smoke to play around.
Huge.
You can't clear this guy out like that, and Whippy just darting out through the smoke, and it looks like Oxygen will finally have their first round, and it's off of a massive Rolling Thunder coming out from Mitch.
Again, Oxygen had all the info in the world, had re-cleared B main, had re-cleared A Heaven and ramp. The only place where these players could have been was mid and B Heaven, and of course the Rolling Thunder connects on pretty much all of it. G2 stuck up in that space now. I mean, they have more than enough to be able to bounce back with. They're still playing the same setup as last round, but Oxygen, it's finally that setup with ultimates.
I think you have to look at it, though, as they used 3 ultimates to win that last round, and so G2 running back their default. A lot less of a focus here towards B main from Oxygen, which I think they might retake later on. The Trailblazer is still going to buy a lot of information, take a lot of space. Now it's Oxygen who we're going to see how they respond to that kind of play, because the util that's been dropped out has pushed both these players in B Heaven back towards kind of the staircase and even removed Verno from this fight. So space has been absorbed here by G2 towards mid again. And I want to say they're going to end in towards an A split here. But they have still Shaz lurking back towards B main, just kind of having multiple options. Randy's in a good spot as well. You can see Alarm Bot, Nanostorm to protect the lockdown play that he wants to utilize in the back of Defender spawn or the back of B site.
Still so many question marks. They are setting up for B main finally, though.
They're not
One
fighting
person's
here
gonna
at all.
come out. Oh my. Randy Savage again, he's playing back towards spawn. He has a lockdown to be able to defend or even just use it now. Indeed he will. 30 seconds left. Spike still hasn't gone down yet. It might still. 25 left. Spike won't go down. They're gonna wait for the lockdown to dissipate away and just try to re-hit the site. Here they finally come. The swing out, trade back from Penny. Dapper swinging out from behind from Heaven. It works out for control of site now. They have... Again, the Cosmic Divide, Dapper from above. Huge kill from Dapper. Even bigger swing from Whippy. It's a 1v4 now for Pony. He does have a little bit to use. Doesn't know these positions at all, though. These positions for Oxy and Penny. Such a mystery. It's so good.
High-low setup here as well, so Pony has got his work cut out for him now, Gus.
It's impossible. It's impossible. Hit him from below. Hit him from above. Pony, full HP, has... just a little bit of damage to give, but no kills to get. Okay, G2 back on track.
7-1 start. And G2 abusing mid again. A big gap here and a big issue for Oxygen throughout this first half has been this mid side, and G2 have been abusing it these past couple rounds. You know, I think Split has traditionally, you can argue with me on this point, always been pretty defender sided. So this start for Oxygen has not looked the best, and I mean, on granted not their map pick, you want to say that, hey, get like 5 rounds here and there's a chance to make this comeback happen. But the way G2 been playing, the way they've been scaling up again, this is another site where there's only 1 player contesting, and the Trailblazer getting so much info once more.
Whoa, it's a great defender map, but it's so hard to retake on. Verno, though, does stop finally. A little bit of that take from G2, one big kill, but nobody's going to be playing the middle of A. It's 3 players trying to recollect Heaven, and Dapper, he could have shown face a long time ago, but he's just waiting for Elevator. This position might come up big.
Shazam is trying to hold Heaven to allow, it looks like, Penny to cross back over.
Oh, he's going spawn? Oxygen, they need to make this retake fast. The flank is coming.
Shazam with a pop flash, might get something. Ducks and darts. But there's Dapper
That's a
still on
huge
the
kill.
work, and Shazam is just trying to delay.
Sight's clear! Sight's clear! Dapper's coming up finally from Heaven!
Well.
Shazam swinging away, but nobody has an angle towards Spike. Shazam tapping away, and it's only gonna be one now. Whippy in a 1v3, has line of sight to the Spike, but all 3 players have a crossfire on him. Oxygen, they sweat one out.
An awkward plant spot as well, I think, for this post plant of G2. Oxygen effectively. I love the way Verno played. He didn't give his position up. He stayed on the rope in a head glitch angle, was able to find a frag, and kind of just duck out of there. So giving Instant that 4v5 advantage. And I think the plant spot was really awkward for G2 here. You can see it's tucked in the corner where 3 players are leading towards Heaven. The cosmic divide doesn't make things any easier at all. Really nice retake from Oxygen there. Holding Heaven, expecting that's where the fight's going to be, as that's where it has been the past couple rounds they went A.
Similar to what we've seen before, Dapper going to be a nuisance here on the A side, but this is, again, early B main control that we haven't seen from G2, actually. Oxygen have gotten an early peek. Randy Savage's util gets a contact early.
Cody's looking to punish really early. He did a double blast back, and that's
doesn't
the cue.
matter.
That's the cue for G2 to hit the B site. Dapper was getting chased by Pony and said, hey, hit B, hit B, hit B. I've got 2 players following me. And instantly G2 are going to get this site control.
Headless chicken almost for Oxygen, but now here comes Oxy. Oxy trying to cut down some of this retake potential, and no, Pony! That might have just actually worked out for a bit of a bait. Shawstopper misses out. Oxy still holding up on Heaven. It's going to be 3 players coming out of this one position. It's going to be a big waterfall. Dapper has the angle, has the headshot position. Scuba's going to be one with the util, and now all the util is gone. Now has to just make the retake. Oxy with 1 good kill. The man advantage is there for G2. This is so difficult. Oxygen has to hard clear every angle. Showstopper is here, though. Pony launches it out into main, but nobody gets taken out. Finally, the defuse is trying to go down, but it just will not happen. G2, by the skin of their teeth, to take it.
An insane triple face towards B main. And G2 again playing the post plane extremely well. Penny gets the res onto Shazam, and all 3 players tuck in towards Garage. And that Showstopper looked extremely scary for a second.
It threaded the needle.
Right, and G2 are able to avoid it, get the round on the board, and put themselves 8-2 now, resetting Oxygen. And Oxygen are going to be looking to have 1 more bye moving forward in this half as we head into round number 11. G2 are again going to focus their attention towards the B side of the map. I think a slow orb to come out here from Penny, take that control. 4 players this time from Oxygen just try and fight mid. And we're going to see if they're going to be able to hold out Shazam.
That same Trailblazer. Not going to get any of that info. Up into Heaven. Again, so cheeky. How this could actually work out for Oxygen, but again, G2. We've seen a big push over into Heaven only really once or twice in this half. Trap isn't going to come into fruition. Instead, everyone for G2 into the middle of B side. Not a single person connecting with Heaven. Very safe.
Great take here from G2. I think it's going to be another investor flawless here in a second unless Oxy gets really hungry with the shorty of all things. Maybe don't go for that one, my friend, but 9-2 start in this series for G2. I think everyone kind of has to look at this team and say, hey, yeah, we were doubters, yeah, we were haters in week 1, but this team is playing extremely well. This is going to be the last bye here for Oxygen. It's almost critical that Oxygen get this last round, and G2, the way things are going, it's going to be hard to see them not be able to win that defensive half.
Two of the players that we highlight pregame too. Dapper, the one that we wanted to see continue to play well. Up on top of 12. The player who's back, Oxy. He's up on 12. Almost doubling his last KD. It was just a poor side-on attack, though, I gotta admit. But Oxy's back. Oxygen take up a lot more control early on than before. They do take up B main. Get a fight for that, too. Boombot comes out towards them.
Again, that Trailblazer buying and taking space up is Oxy, but he does actually lose that fight for the first time. So Oxygen, 4v5, I think it's the second 4v5 advantage that they've had, or 5v4 advantage, if you will. But all that noise has given Dapper the opportunity to slip in towards A. Still covered up by that alarm bot that was going to be a little bit tricky to work around, and Mitch, still up top, has got plenty of util to battle with.
Yeah, it's a great off angle. Has to at least get one here. No way, Penny! Inching his way towards the wall, and he takes down Mitch. And now Dapper gets spotted by the alarm bot, sure. But has positioning now for his teammates over in heaven. The peek from Verno. Double flashes. Can make so much chaos here over in heaven. Just with one piece of utility. 3 players are on the open here. The guiding light doesn't come out. And the watch over from screens is going to get covered up. G2 with a chance.
Penny's going to get this spike down as well and leave 2 players up towards heaven. Shazam in the smoke is going to lose the fight. Pony takes him out. The spike is down in a 3-on-3. An opportunity here for a lurk from Whippy, as it is going to be Penny to try to reinforce. They're leaving Dapper alone on the site.
Do they know about Whippy? They're going to hard clear every angle here, surely. Whippy holding up from elevator. There goes the swing for the raise. Gonna take him down. Penny finally comes around. And Randy Savage stays alive after the trade formulates. And Dapper, perfect timing off the swing. Randy Savage was mid-air when the mouse one clicked off for him. 10-2, double digits for G2.
That is an astounding first half from G2. Oxy coming alive. I mean, I think this entire G2 team coming alive, and there hadn't been really any highlight players, but I think Dapper and Oxy have been 2 of the key players in this first attacking half from G2. And yeah, question marks for G2 going into this next week. Have other teams caught up to them? Have they developed fully with Oxy? They certainly have here. And Oxygen, not looking good whatsoever in this first map alone. Scuba has been there, but he hasn't been the best just yet. And obviously, there's only so much you can do at a 10-2 deficit. They switch sides to the attack, and now G2 have got all the advantages on their side, I think, given how this map plays out.
Oxygen lost the first map last week of play. Ended up winning the full best of 3 after that. Not all is lost here. But it has to start off right against Split. They are on the attacking side. It's a bit tougher for anything to really start here. G2 pretty much have their number.
You can see how different this approach is on this defensive side. They take up all the space here towards the A part, or the A side of the map. And Oxygen are just kind of cut dry for space. Yeah, you're swinging into Oxygen instead, who's been playing exceptionally well. You're not winning that fight, my man.
Tough with a classic. And there were 2 players there too. Spike is still very much on the B side. I thought it would be a little bit of false information for G2, and indeed it was. 4 players rotate over towards that A side, or at least the Sage from mid rotates over.
Ooh,
this does leave some empty gaps for Oxygen.
Sage, while getting broken, just instantly swings 3 players down to the B side. They still make the exec a little bit harder. No slower from Penny to stop the exec. You just have a trip from Dapper, and now they start to approach. And Dapper's got the one-way, so they're not going to approach instantly just yet.
Again, they don't have the Astra, though. No smokes. They can't make it out, really, at all, without taking on a bunch of battles. Oxygen's going to be able to get one, but the Wild West actually ends up in a 3v4. There goes a shot back. Again, one from Whippy. Whippy again, double in the back line. And Dapper always making his run in rafters anyways. G2, they complete the pistol round in the way that they wanted, comfortably.
I'm curious to see what this Oxygen buy is going to look like. No Stinger meta. It's 1,100 credits now, and still, they are going to force up the Stingers. Verno down to 0 credits. It's getting desperate here from Oxygen. G2 have been in full control of this series, or apologies, this first map at least, and I guess you can call it the series. Judge, Stinger, 3 Spectres, G2 got all the tools, and I think especially that Judge, which I really want to see go to work here from Oxy.
Oh yeah.
The focus is towards mid from both of these sides.
Gonna have to be this meat grinder again in mid. Stingers, they have to
flash.
sing the long range stinger. He's not gone whatsoever.
You drop a wall here, that's gonna split everything up.
what was it, like a fourth of his kills, Penny with the stinger, and he continues to go off. The shotgun is still here. 3 players are still here. 4 players are still here in mid for the defensive side. But again, still SMGs for Oxygen, but they desperately need top mid. Again, Spike behind the wall. So many players with eyes on it. What flashes do they have? What util do they use? Absolutely nothing. G2, an investor flawless within 5 seconds of mid. 4 players go down.
That has been this has just been a wreck of a game from Oxygen. G2 have been doing everything right, playing this map almost perfect. I think Oxygen, you know, it's hard to. I want to say that maybe they're just not familiar with this map. You know, like young kids, I guess. Oxy's really the youngest one, but still, Oxygen have just been getting run over in this first map. And G2 looking to seal the deal here in map number 1 with a 13-2 lead. And Oxy, Pony's gonna get it in the face of at least one. That being Penny will break the wall down, but a good response there from G2 to maintain the heavy control and elevator. Yes, they lose the mid side, but they still have players here to fight.
Yeah, it's double elevator too. This is so strong for G2 and what is a very default type pressure here for Oxygen. But there's no way they go out with the spike in mid. One is there to pick it back up, but both of them could have died there.
Whippy's gonna win a fight here against Scuba as well, I presume. A little bit of damage, he's just slowing it down. They know the A hit is coming. G2 have got everything ready for them. Full B main control, still 2 trips to play with, and Oxy with the shotgun.
No! Not the boom bot, not the shotgun! Pony comes in flying and he takes down both. There's still one here. Looking to have some fun. Whippy whipping around, gonna be able to get the first. Again, SMGs galore, raining down bullets, and it leaves G2 with only 2 players left.
Randy just looked at the shotgun thinking that was the better gun. Spike will go down, and Oxygen
statistically, sure.
Got a chance, Dapper.
Whoa,
with a
what
nice
was that jump?
swing, and I'm not a big fan of these crossfires being held because it's just one-on-ones right now from Oxygen giving up to G2.
This is so scary. Someone could easily be an elbow right now, but they do have the peak.
Stinger around the corner is just gonna murder him if he's ready for it.
No, Verno! He got spotted and now he's back on site! Penny could come up behind! 6 HP though for Penny. This could be it for Verno! And indeed it is. Good peek from Scuba to get that chip damage in. 3 rounds for Oxygen. Long road, to say the least.
Still a lot of 1v1s given up there, you know. Not the biggest fan of the way Oxygen played that, but they get it done because of a shotgun from Pony. That's full rifles now for G2. 3 rifles bought here between Pony, Verno, and Randy Savage. 9 rounds in a row they have to collect. It looks like they're going to try and take this mid control with both these initiators. Trailblazer to go up, Fault Line to take space as well. It's G2 not adamant this time to take space that quickly. You've got a nade and a slow warp combo here between these 2 agents of Oxy and Penny.
Whoa!
That's an instant kill. That's not tradable. It gives a lot of space to Oxygen.
And Pony is 1 orb away from the showstopper 2. 1 kill, and that's pretty much the site take for them. That's why you see him on the front lines. Looking for the first contact. Randy Savage is going to come out of B main, though, looking for the B split, and he is gone. Still have the raise, looking for the peak. He has such a party in heaven to deal with. Pony's here, Mitch is here, Verno's here. And it could just be free frags here for either Oxy or Dapper. They don't know their positions, though.
There's no one in B main as well.
Look at the flank!
Full attention here. Yep, there's still 1 player in the middle, Shazam. Lurking and waiting. And look at it. They're trying to wait for
Spike's right in front of him!
Mitch is holding the angle and he doesn't know. This is a huge surprise if Oxygen don't check their corners.
And they're done. They're going to go back mid. Shazam's going to be there with a smack to the face! How does Mitch get that kill? 11 HP left for the man. And they could 2v1 this.
But it's still Dapper on site with his util. And by util, I mean his cam, which will give him the first contact and give him that information. And that's why we haven't seen Whippy rotate just yet.
Oh, they spotted it.
Camp finally. 15 seconds left.
17 though, they have to commit. Full HP here for Dapper. Might have Spike in his line of sight. 10 seconds. Walking right through the smoke. They're not going to spot him. They're not going to spot him. The round is over. The game is over.
G2.
What?
Wait, he's still in it? What just happened? He's still in it? Whippy, okay, the clutch one-on-one?
I guess the timer was wrong for us. The game still goes. 1v1. Whippy could come up from above. Scuba sinking deeper into B main. Has a much better position to play a ring around the rosy with Whippy. Whippy fakes it.
He hasn't thrown a star on it.
Walking around and the game keeps going. Oh, my bad for the bait. I wasn't the only one.
I mean, I'm just gonna say I was going along with you there, so I'm not gonna take.
Oh, sure, yeah. You see, like 3.5 seconds left of the clock. Okay, bud. Okay.
Reset onto G2 with just pistols. I mean, the game keeps going. I thought for sure there was no time as well when you made that cue, but it was like literally 4.00 with the plan off. Like Oxygen. 5-man look towards this A side where only 2 defending players are, and Pony's gonna look to go aggressive. He's got the showstopper here to work with. Against just pistols, I think he's gonna hold on to it.
They might want it.
And they full
It's gonna be 4 players.
Look, Dapper's all the way through B main, so we at least have a 4-player stack. It is with just sheriffs.
It's all the information that they want, but
An
like you
asterisk
said-
on that because I feel like this is how games end on ecos. It's always an anti-eco that they lose.
Okay, sure. I want to see it. Oxy, pop off. Young man, he gets
Oh
the
my
headshot
God!
position! The young man goes nuts
Shut
and now he has a
up!
showstopper to knock it all down! Right
No
around the corner!
way!
Gone! Oxygen takes the breath away from Oxygen!
What was that from Oxy? I was baiting. I was baiting the anti-eco clutch. How does he do it there? Oxy with an unbelievable 4K, and G2 Esports gonna take map 1 and fashion like that. That was just ridiculous.
Now go on, young man. The red carpet's yours, just take it. Oh my goodness. I mean, we were questioning the value of Oxy to this team in general. What is his role to this squad? And I mean, there's a reason why they picked him up from the catacombs, from the depths of VLR. This guy has the stats. This guy has the plays to show up. He just hasn't shown it in the first 2 weeks. He finally has here.
An electric last round. And the questions from G2 was, hey, Oxy, what are you doing, man? When are you going to step up and be the fragger that G2 needs, right? The Trent from the guard, the Zekin from Xset. We need a youngster like him in this scene, and he finally comes up alive for your map number 1. Huge props to G2 and taking that first map, and honestly, one of the most crazy endings I've ever seen, and probably one of the best looks that we've seen from G2 this season.
Yeah, wild. But again, the script was pretty much set. You got G2 on Sheriffs. You got 3-4 players on the same side of the map. They're looking to have some fun. They're looking to make some clips, to say the very least. But we had already anticipated that game being over by the end of that round, or at least by the end of the next few rounds, to say the very least. So we're just going to move on and act as if nothing happened, especially if you're Oxygen. Big maps coming up. 2 very familiar maps to them. Haven and Ascent coming up. So let's see if they can bounce back after the break.
Michael Galino, Dapper, Sentinel, G2 Esports. So me and Shazam come from Sentinels, and Penny, Whippy, and also our coach Emmy come from V1. So me and Shaz have history, obviously, and those 3 have history. And then now we have Oxy coming in from Dark Ratio. So at first, you could definitely tell like we had different theories and philosophies on like what is the most ideal thing to do in these situations. And we're talking about it in practice or VOD review. We might have differing opinions, but now I think we're getting to the point where we tried this, we tried that, and now we're kind of like meddling them into the middle and really figuring out what works best for G2 instead of what worked for Sentinels and what worked for V1. The thing that makes G2 apart from all the other teams is that all 5 of us are really experienced. I guess 4 of us are really experienced, minus Oxy. He's getting there. He's like the most insane zoomer, so I'm always like down to enable that guy, just, you know, with our veteran status that we know what to do in most of these situations. We'll get into like a 3v3, a 3v4, and we'll know what to do subconsciously, and now we're building up the team chem to make it so we barely even have to comm, or we'll just comm what we're doing. Everybody's right there and fully agree and fully on the same page, and that's really all you want. Yeah, I would say I would describe our playstyle as being like chaotic and disruptive. At least that's how I hope it to be. Sometimes it doesn't always work out like that, but yeah, we try to be in your face and try to throw you off your game plan, because I feel like the worst thing you could do against some of these unexperienced teams is kind of just let them flow and get into their game style. So we like to mix up what is usually the norm and find like holes. I think against Oxygen, we scrimmed against them a decent amount. I respect their players. I think Mitch is really good. I think Verno's a pretty good up-and-comer. I've been impressed with like both their play and their whole team play in general. I think they play like a good style. I watched their match against Breakthrough, and they seem to have like an issue with choking or just closing out matches. So I feel like they have a really strong game plan, and we just have to focus on like disrupting them, probably throw them off, like get them off like their comfort, and hopefully if they get 11 rounds, we can just come back and it's fine. I'm not a huge fan of like looking out for a specific player and being like, oh, let's really focus on him and try to disrupt his game plan. I think a lot of these teams just in general just have team tendencies on like what they do and how obvious it is on like if they throw this piece of thing, they're just gonna do this, and it's pretty simple. So we just have to keep looking for that, and then obviously the mind games that come with that. These people, nobody in challengers is like kind of like they just do one thing and just rinse and repeat. They're gonna try to mess it up, but you always have to stay one step ahead, and I feel like we're a really good team on figuring that out. Yeah, I would just say my message for Oxygen is that we're just gonna win, so it's gonna be easy.